If you've tried to build a PC or buy a laptop recently, you've probably asked yourself, am I crazy or did this cost half as much last summer? You aren't crazy. They are crazy. Actually, I was crazy to sell this beautiful system with whopping 64GB of RAM in 2024 before the RAM crisis. I miss it so much. That was true luxury that I cannot afford these days. But back to reality, you're witnessing a market shock that we haven't seen in almost a decade. Multiple tech analysts have confirmed it. We are entering what is being described as a historic supercycle. They are forecasting that prices for laptops, PCs, and components will jump 10 to 20% this quarter. And that isn't just a hike. That will be the highest quarterly increase in history. The era of cheap tech is over now, if it wasn't already. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly why this is happening. From a report about Project Stargate consuming 40% of the global supply, to the breaking news that Asus and Framework have officially hiked their prices. And other major brands like Apple and Samsung are not immune to this. We will probably see a price hike from them as well in the future. Now, to be clear, RAM prices had been rising significantly even before this event. We saw a slow burn throughout all of 2025. But the first real domino fell in early December when Micron Technology, one of the big three memory makers, confirmed they are pulling the plug on their consumer brand, Crucial. And if you thought they might regret leaving us end consumers behind, well, the numbers tell a different story. On their December 17th earnings call, Micron posted a massive 57% revenue jump. They explicitly forecasted that memory prices could rise another 40% by the second quarter of 2026. Micron executive Sumit Sadana was very clear about this. They are exiting the consumer business to support strategic customers in faster growing segments. They are proving that abandoning the consumer market is actually more profitable than serving it. So they are taking the factories that used to make your RAM and retooling them for AI servers. And they aren't the only ones. Now, you might be thinking, yeah, I'll just buy from another brand. Well, the contagion has already spread. We got two massive confirmations here. First, Asus has announced official price adjustments starting January 5th. Second, Framework, the modular laptop company, just raised their RAM prices again on December 29th. They are now charging nearly $10 per gigabyte. Kingston warned us back in December that NAND flash prices, the chips inside your SSD, have surged 246% since the start of 2025. This is the SSD contagion. So if you are planning to build a PC in 2026, you are getting hit on both sides. The memory stick is double the price, or maybe even triple, and the SSD you need to store your games is skyrocketing too. But why is the entire industry running out of chips at the same time, all of a sudden? For months, we thought this was just general AI demand. We were wrong. We now have reports identifying a specific project that is draining the world's silicon supply. It is called Project Stargate. OpenAI and Microsoft have entered contracts to secure up to 40% of the entire world's DRAM production. Imagine if one person walked into every grocery store on Earth and bought 40% of all the food. What happens to the price of the food left on the shelves? It explodes. If this feels familiar, it's because we have seen this movie before, but it was a somewhat less intense movie. Back in 2017, we saw a massive RAM shortage where prices doubled. Back then, the villain was cloud computing. Amazon and Google bought up all the server RAM and gamers were left with scraps. Today is the exact same story, but the villain is AI. And this villain seems to be much stronger than cloud computing. So it's actually worse this time. AI memory is harder to make than cloud memory. It eats up more factory space. So, just like in 2017, the big manufacturers are kicking consumers to the back of the line. The supply chain has been privatized. And this brings us to your smartphone. Most people assume that because Samsung makes both the phones and the memory chips, they are safe from these price hikes. You'd think the Galaxy team gets the chips for free, or at least at a discounted price, because they are family, right? Actually, no. There's a fascinating civil war happening inside Samsung right now. You see, the chip division and the mobile division operate almost like separate companies within Samsung. Usually, the mobile team gets a family discount, stable yearly contracts to keep Galaxy prices low. But reports indicate the chip division has ruthlessly cut that off, because they can sell their chips to AI companies for a fortune. They are now forcing their own mobile division into quarterly price negotiations. They are effectively treating the Galaxy team like a stranger, charging them the surging market rate. That's actually good for the memory division in Samsung, but it's bad for the mobile division in Samsung. And we might have to eat the cost. And when we look at Apple, it's worse. Apple, on the other hand, is facing a nightmare scenario. I would call it double whammy. First, WCCF Tech revealed on December 23rd that Apple is being forced to pay a 230% premium for the RAM in the iPhone 18. That's a quantum jump from roughly $25 to $70 per chip. It's almost 3 times, but it gets worse. New reports from Taiwan reveal that the price of the iPhone 18's processor, the A20 chip, is also skyrocketing by 87%, hitting nearly $280 per unit. So Apple is getting hit on memory and processor at the same time. Do you think they're gonna eat the cost? Nope, you are. So then what does the rest of 2026 look like for budget phones? TrendForce predicts that entry-level phones might revert to 4GB of RAM. 4GB in 2026 is a joke. It's barely enough to run the OS. And to distract you, they might bring back the microSD card slot. Not as a feature, but as an apology because they can't afford to give you fast internal storage anymore. Okay, let's calm down. The important question is, so when does this end? Analysts now forecast that prices will not stabilize until late 2027. The factories are fully booked by OpenAI, and new ones won't be online for years. If you have been waiting to build a PC, the window has officially closed. With Asus hiking prices on January 5th, the new reality is here. And other brands are gonna follow suit. They have no choice. If you need hardware, buy it today if you cannot wait until 2028. Because the prices we see right now, as high as they are, might be the cheapest we see for the next 2 years. Seriously. So buy now before it gets even higher. And guess what's coming in about a month? The Galaxy S26 launch. I will be keeping a close eye on it, so make sure you're subscribed. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. See ya!